Hi, I'm Celine. Most people see me as the responsible one in my family. The planner, the saver, the one who worked 2 jobs through high school to build my college fund while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. My brother Jake, on the other hand, has always been the family favorite despite his tendency to stumble from one disaster to another. Celine, your financial aid meeting is today at 4, right? My roommate Danny called out as she poured herself coffee in our tiny apartment kitchen. Yeah, I just need to transfer the rest of my savings to cover this semester's tuition gap. I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. My parents helped me set up a special account when I was 14, been adding to it for 6 years. The screen loaded, and I blinked at the balance. $212.36. Last week it had been $32,879.15. That can't be right, I whispered, clicking through transaction history. A single withdrawal, almost everything, 3 days ago. My phone rang. Mom. Hey, Mom, I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. Quick question. Did you move my college fund into a different account or something? Silence. Mom? Celine, honey, she finally said, her voice unnaturally high. Your father and I were going to call you tonight. There's been a situation. A situation that emptied my entire college account? Your brother needed it, Dad's voice cut in. He'd been listening on speakerphone. Jake's in trouble. Serious trouble. What kind of trouble costs $32,000? My stomach clenched. Mom's voice cracked. He had an accident. He'd been drinking at a party and... He hit a school bus, Dad interrupted. Thank God it was empty except for the driver, but the driver's injured and Jake's facing serious charges. We needed to get him the best lawyer. So you took my money? My voice rose. Money I've been saving since I was 14? We're family, Celine, Mom said sharply. Family helps family. Did you even plan to tell me before I discovered it? Before I went to my financial aid meeting expecting to pay tuition? Don't be dramatic, Dad said. You can take out loans like most students. Danny took the phone from my shaking hand. Mr. and Mrs. Turner? This is Danny, Celine's roommate. Just so you know, what you did isn't just morally wrong. It's probably illegal. Celine's over 18 and that was her account. Dad's voice hardened. Young lady, this doesn't concern you. It does when my friend is hyperventilating in our kitchen because her parents stole her future. Danny handed the phone back to me. We'll talk about this later, Mom said quickly. We have to meet Jake's lawyer. The call ended and I stared at the phone in disbelief. Did that just happen? I whispered. Danny's face was grim. Call your bank. Now. 3 hours later, I sat across from my financial aid advisor, Miss Chen, who frowned at her computer. Your expected family contribution hasn't changed, she said. But you're telling me your college fund is gone? I nodded, still numb. My parents took it for my brother's legal fees. He drove drunk and hit a school bus. Miss Chen's eyes widened. I'm so sorry, Celine. That's highly unusual parental behavior. The bank confirmed they could access it because they were co-signers, even though all the money was mine. She leaned forward. Celine, I know someone you should talk to. My brother's a lawyer who specializes in family financial disputes. This situation is more common than you might think. I don't have money for a lawyer, I said bitterly. That's kind of the problem. Initial consultation is free, she replied, writing down a name and number. At minimum, you should know your options. As I left her office, my phone buzzed with a text from Jake. Hey sis, heard Mom and Dad told you. I'm really sorry about this. I'll pay you back when I can. You're the best. I stared at the casual message, rage building in my chest. 6 years of saving, gone in an instant, with nothing but a text message promising to pay me back when he can. From a brother who'd never held a job longer than 3 months. That's when I knew. This wasn't just about money. This was about finally holding my family accountable. So, you're saying I actually have a case? I leaned forward in the leather chair across from Thomas Chen, my financial aid advisor's brother. He nodded, adjusting his glasses. The fact that they cleared out the account without your knowledge or consent, despite being co-signers, could be considered financial misconduct. How much documentation do you have of your contributions to the account? Everything. I pulled out a folder. Every paycheck stub, every birthday check, every deposit. I've kept records since I was 14. Impressive, he said, scanning through the papers. Most clients your age don't have this level of documentation. Most clients my age probably didn't have parents warning them they'd need to pay for college themselves since elementary school. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. What about your brother? Has he had similar financial expectations? I laughed sharply. Jake? No. He's always been the creative one, the sensitive one. Code for, we won't expect him to be responsible. This isn't even his first drunk driving incident, just the first time he hurt someone else. Thomas frowned. How's the bus driver doing? Critical condition, from what I've heard. Jake broke his arm and got a concussion. My phone buzzed with a call from Aunt Melissa, my mom's sister. I answered, putting it on speaker. Celine, what's this about you threatening to sue your parents? She demanded without greeting. Hello to you too, Aunt Melissa. I haven't threatened anything yet. I'm just exploring my options after they stole my entire college fund. They didn't steal anything. They're trying to help Jake through a difficult time. By sacrificing my education? Why didn't they take out a home equity loan? Or use their retirement savings? Why was I the only one expected to sacrifice? Your brother could go to prison, Celine. Don't you care at all? Thomas raised his eyebrows but remained silent. I care that he drove drunk and nearly killed someone. I care that this is his third DUI. And I care that my parents decided my future matters less than bailing him out of consequences. Again. Your mother is absolutely devastated by your attitude, Aunt Melissa said, after everything they've done for you. What exactly have they done for me? I've worked since I was legally allowed. I've saved every penny. I've done everything right, and my reward is having it all taken away. Family supports family, she insisted. Apparently that only applies to Jake. I took a deep breath. Tell Mom and Dad I'll be meeting with them tomorrow at 6. They should both be there. After ending the call, Thomas looked at me thoughtfully. Family pressure can be intense in these situations. Are you prepared for that? I've spent my whole life being told I need to be understanding about Jake, that he's sensitive and struggles. Meanwhile, I've had to be perfect. No margin for error. I squared my shoulders. I'm done understanding. Let's discuss strategy, Thomas said, pulling out a legal pad. First, we'll draft a formal demand letter. Second, we should look into whether your brother's previous incidents were also financially covered by your parents, and how. You think they've done this before? I asked, stunned. It would establish a pattern. Did you have any other savings accounts? Or siblings who might have? My cousin Ellie's words from last Christmas suddenly echoed in my mind. Did your parents ever explain what happened to the college fund your grandma set up for you? Mine mysteriously vanished too. I need to call my cousin, I said, pulling out my phone. 2 hours later, I had spoken with 3 cousins who confirmed similar experiences. Each had grandparent-established accounts that had complications around the time of Jake's previous incidents. It's a pattern, I told Thomas as we wrapped up our meeting. They've been covering for him for years, using other people's money. This strengthens your case considerably, he nodded. Are you ready for tomorrow's confrontation? Not just ready, I replied. For once, I'm looking forward to a family discussion. I arrived at my parents' house exactly at 6, legal folder in hand. Thomas had advised me to record the conversation, so my phone was already set to record in my pocket. Mom opened the door with red-rimmed eyes. Celine, please, can't we discuss this reasonably? Without lawyers? That's exactly what I'm here to do, I replied calmly. Discuss this reasonably. Dad sat stiffly at the kitchen table, and to my surprise, Jake was there too, his arm in a cast, dark circles under his eyes. Hey, sis, he said weakly. I didn't know you were coming over. I asked Mom and Dad for this meeting, I said, taking a seat across from them. Dad cleared his throat. Celine, before you start, you need to understand the gravity of Jake's situation. He's facing serious charges. Vehicular assault while intoxicated, third DUI, reckless endangerment. I listed off. I looked up the case file. It's public record. Mom gasped. Why would you do that? Because I wanted the facts. Like the fact that the bus driver, Mr. Ramirez, has 2 young children and may never walk normally again. Jake dropped his head into his hands. I never meant to hurt anyone. You never mean to, Jake. But you keep doing the same things, and somehow, I keep paying for them. I opened my folder and laid out bank statements. Along with our cousins, apparently. Dad's face darkened. What are you talking about? Ellie's college fund, and Tyler's, and Mackenzie's, all set up by Grandma, all mysteriously depleted around the times of Jake's previous incidents. I looked directly at my mother. Did Grandma know what you did with the money she saved for her grandchildren? Mom's face went white. You don't understand the pressure we've been under. You stole from your own children and nieces and nephews? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. How many lives are you willing to sacrifice for Jake? We didn't steal anything. Dad slammed his hand on the table. We were protecting this family. No, you were protecting Jake. There's a difference. I'll pay you back, Celine, Jake interjected. I promise. Once this is all over. Like you promised the last time? And the time before that? I turned to him. Be honest, Jake. Have you ever actually faced consequences for anything you've done? He flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? 3 DUIs, multiple accidents. And every time Mom and Dad swoop in and make it all go away, with someone else's money. We are your parents, Mom said, tears streaming down her face. We've always done what we thought was best. Best for who? I interrupted. Best for Jake? Because it certainly wasn't best for me, or our cousins, or Mr. Ramirez and his family. What exactly do you want, Celine? Dad asked tersely. I pulled out the document Thomas had prepared. I want my money back. All of it. I've filed a civil suit and I've provided evidence to the prosecutor in Jake's case about the pattern of enabling behavior. Jake's face crumpled. You're helping them put me in jail? Your own brother? No, Jake. You put yourself there the moment you decided to drive drunk. Again. Mom stood up, shaking. How could you do this to your family? That's exactly what I've been asking myself about what you did to me, I replied steadily. The difference is, I'm not doing anything wrong. Get out, Dad said quietly. If this is how you want it, then get out of this house. I stood up, gathering my papers. I've already moved my things. I knew you'd choose him again. As I walked to the door, Jake called out, Celine, please, I'm sorry. I'll do better, I swear. I turned back one last time. You've been saying that for years, Jake. The difference is, this time I won't be the one paying for it. All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Myers presiding. I sat behind the prosecutor, watching as Jake was led in by his attorney, not the expensive one my college fund had initially paid for. After my civil suit was filed and the financial evidence came to light, that lawyer had withdrawn from the case. My parents sat on the other side of the courtroom, not looking in my direction. We hadn't spoken in the 3 months since our confrontation, except through lawyers. District Attorney Rivera nodded to me as she stood. Your Honor, the state would like to address the court regarding the plea agreement in the case of the People versus Jacob Turner. Judge Myers nodded. Proceed. The defendant has agreed to plead guilty to vehicular assault while intoxicated, a Class 4 felony. The state recommends a sentence of 5 years, with the possibility of parole after 3, plus full restitution to the victim, Mr. Ramirez, and completion of an intensive addiction treatment program. Jake stood with his public defender, looking thinner and paler than I'd ever seen him. Mr. Turner, the judge addressed him directly. This is your 3rd DUI offense, and this time you nearly killed a man, a father of 2 who will require multiple surgeries and years of physical therapy. Do you understand the severity of your actions? Yes, Your Honor, Jake replied quietly. I do. And do you accept the terms of this plea agreement? Yes, Your Honor. The judge studied him for a long moment. Very well. The court accepts your plea. Sentencing will be carried out as recommended by the district attorney. Additionally, the court orders that upon release, you will remain on probation for 5 years, during which time you will be prohibited from operating a motor vehicle. After the proceedings, I stood in the courthouse hallway when DA Rivera approached me. "Thank you for your cooperation, Celine. Your testimony about the pattern of enabling behavior was crucial." I nodded, my throat tight. "What about my civil case?" "From what I understand, the judge ruled in your favor this morning. Your parents will be required to repay the full amount, plus interest." A familiar voice called my name, and I turned to see Danny approaching with Miss Chen. "How are you holding up?" Danny asked, squeezing my hand. "Better than expected," I admitted. Miss Chen smiled. "I have good news. The university board reviewed your case, and they've approved emergency funding to cover this semester. And with the civil judgment, you should have your funds restored in time for next term. Thank you, both of you. I couldn't have done this without your support." As we turned to leave, I heard my mother call my name. She stood alone, my father nowhere in sight. "Celine, please. Can we talk?" I hesitated, then nodded to Danny and Miss Chen to give us a moment. "I know you hate us," Mom began. "I don't hate you," I interrupted. "I'm just done protecting everyone from their own choices." "The judge froze our retirement accounts. We might lose the house," she said, her voice small. "That's unfortunate. But that's what happens when you steal money that isn't yours. He's still your brother, Celine, and we're still your parents." I looked at her steadily. "Biology doesn't excuse what you did. All 3 of you need to face reality for once." "Will you ever forgive us?" she asked, tears welling. "That's not what this is about. This is about justice. For me, for our cousins, and for Mr. Ramirez. Maybe someday we can have a relationship again, but it will never be the same." I walked away, joining Danny and Miss Chen, who waited by the doors. "Where to now?" Danny asked as we stepped into the sunlight. "Forward," I replied. "For the first time in my life, just forward." Later that evening, as I sat in our apartment reviewing financial aid forms, my phone lit up with a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Mr. Ramirez. "Miss Turner, the DA gave me your number. I wanted to thank you for your courage in coming forward. Your testimony helped ensure justice was served, not just for me, but for anyone else who might have been hurt in the future. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same." I smiled slightly, typing back. "Sometimes family means holding each other accountable, not just covering up mistakes. I hope your recovery continues to progress." Danny brought over 2 cups of tea and sat beside me. "So what happens now?" "Now I focus on what I can control," I said. "My education, my future." "And your family?" I stared out the window at the setting sun. "They have choices to make, just like I did. The question is, will they learn from them? What would you do if someone you loved betrayed your trust so completely? When is forgiveness the right choice? And when is holding people accountable more important? Share your thoughts in the comments below.